Welcome to CAN, Caribbean Affiliate News. My name is Siobhan Gobin. Here are the stories that we're following today, July 17, 2013. In international news, capture of Mexican drug cartel leader not expected to halt violence. Egypt's new cabinet sworn in includes women and Christians but no Islamists. Wave of attacks make first week of Ramadan the deadliest in Iraq since 2007. Zimmerman trial juror says decision was split at first. In sports, Jamaica government stands by athletes who tested positive. Narain spins Windies to series leveling win. And in entertainment, Stevie Wonder declares he's boycotting Florida and the 21 other states with stand your ground laws after Zimmerman's acquittal. Heroin and alcohol killed the Glee star Corey Monteith. Details on these headlines and more when we return.
Since we announced Sign and Drive with zero out of pocket and low monthly payments, cars been flying out of Bronx Honda at a record pace. Whoa! New Accord with zero out of pocket for $249 a month, or new Civics just $199 per month, or save thousands with 0% financing. You never had to leave the Bronx to get the best price on the Honda. Bronx Honda guarantees the lowest price in the Bronx. Bronx Honda, East Tremont Avenue. Visit BronxHonda.com.
Welcome back to CAN, Caribbean Affiliate News. My name is Siobhan Gobin. This segment of the news is sponsored by Total Caribbean Network. In international news, Mexico's most brutal drug cartel leader built a business empire stretching from the southwest United States to Central America. But Miguel Angel Trevino Morales' final days of freedom was spent lying low in the hinterlands of Tamaulipas state, traveling only at night over back roads as Mexican Marines closed in on his trail. The last of the Zetas drug cartel's old guard leaders saw fate swoop in on him in the pre-dawn hours Monday when a military Black Hawk helicopter flew low over his pickup truck, then almost touching the ground, faced down the vehicle with its guns, Mexico Federal Security spokesman Eduardo Sanchez said. The vehicle stopped and 3 men emerged. 2 hit the ground while the third tried to run, or were captured by Marine ground forces who had been watching the movements of 40-year-old Trevino Morales, Sanchez told the Associated Press on Tuesday. Not a single shot was fired. Time was clearly running out for the cartel leader, better known and feared by his nickname Z40, a play on police radio code for a commander. Mexico's Navy, which has brought down a number of top drug lords, found out that he had been traveling in the early morning hours on dirt roads. They had been corralling him in little by little, Sanchez said. Trevino Morales had $2 million in cash and 8 rifles with him when Marines caught him outside the border city of Nuevo Laredo along the Zetas base of operations. He was taken to Mexico City for questioning. But unlike the days of former President Felipe Calderon, there was no perp walk by a handcuffed suspect or piles of cash and guns put on display for the TV cameras. Instead, the government released a single video of a rumpled-looking unhandcuffed Trevino Morales walking through prosecutors' headquarters, saying it wanted to avoid glamorizing drug traffickers or risk rights violations that could lead to a dismissal of charges. Authorities didn't even refer to his nickname, Z40. The Zetas are Mexico's most violent, if not richest, cartel with the largest turf. A New York indictment against Trevino Morales estimates he received $10 million per month in income from cocaine sales alone, not to mention the money brought in by the cartel's myriad other illicit activities, including kidnapping, extortion, migrant trafficking, weapons trafficking, even theft of oil from state pipelines. His arrest was particularly pleasing for the United States. Trevino Morales allegedly orchestrated a series of killings on the U.S. side of the border, including several by a group of young U.S. citizens who gunned down their victims on the streets of Laredo. His gang was also believed to be responsible for the slayings of U.S. ICE agent Jamie Zapata in 2011 and American citizen David Hartley in 2010 on Falcon Lake, which straddles the U.S.-Mexico border. President Barack Obama praised the Mexican government and vowed to continue supporting the country's fight against drug traffickers. Egypt's interim leader swore in a cabinet on Tuesday that included women and Christians, but no Islamists, as the military-backed administration moved swiftly to formalize the new political order and present a more liberal phase that is markedly at odds with the deposed president and his supporters. The changes came at a time of deep polarization and violence in Egypt, including new clashes that killed 7 people as part of the continuing bloodshed that has marked the days following the armed forces coup that swept President Mohamed Morsi from office and cracked down on the Muslim Brotherhood. Egypt's military already wields great influence behind the scenes, and the army chief, General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who ousted Morsi on July 3rd, was given a promotion in the cabinet. He became a first deputy prime minister in addition to keeping his post as defense minister. For most of the 2 years since the overthrow of autocrat Hosni Mubarak, the country has been split into 2 camps, one led by Morsi, his Muslim Brotherhood, and its Islamist allies, and another led by secular Egyptians, liberals, Christians, and moderate Muslims. The fault lines remain, except that the Islamist camp is no longer in power. It does not include members of any Islamist parties, a sign of the enduring division that follows the removal of Morsi, Egypt's first freely elected president. The interim president's spokesman had earlier said posts would be offered to the Muslim Brotherhood, but the group promptly refused, saying it would not take part in the military-backed political process and would continue protests until the legitimately elected Morsi is reinstated. The only Islamist party that supported Morsi's ouster, the ultra-conservative Salafi El-Nour party, was not represented and criticized the leadership as biased, lacking inclusion and repeating the same mistake the last government was blamed for. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel said he had talked with el-Sisi about 10 times in the past week. Prime Minister Hazim el-Biblawi, an economist in his 70s, leads the government of 33 other ministers. Sworn in by interim President Adli Mansour, it reflected the largely liberal, secular bent of the factions who brought millions into the streets at the end of June, calling for Morsi to step down and backed el-Sisi's removal of the president. Ramadan this year is shaping up to be the deadliest in Iraq since a bloody insurgency and rampant sectarian killings pushed the country to the edge of civil war in the wake of the U.S.-led invasion that ousted Saddam Hussein. Suicide attacks, car bombings, and other violence have killed more than 160 Iraqis just 7 days into the Islamic holy month. The death toll in the first week of Ramadan hasn't been that high since 2007, intensifying fears that Iraq is slipping back into widespread chaos. There seems to be little pattern in the range of targets, adding to the sense of unease in what is meant to be a month of spiritual growth and generosity. Several of those killed over the past week died at a busy northern tea shop while playing Mehibis, a game where players hope to win sweets by guessing who among the opposing team is hiding a ring in their hands. Others were slain as they swarmed with friends or as they shopped for festive evening dinners or made their way home from mosque after late-night prayers. Even for Iraqis who have grown used to hearing about random violence, day after day of double-digit death tolls makes for a worrying trend. Many are choosing to stay home after breaking their dawn-to-dusk fast rather than venture out for festive family get-togethers and late-night cafe sessions, worrying they could be among the next victims. The bloodshed during Ramadan is an extension of a surge of attacks that has been roiling Iraq since the spring. It follows months of rallies by Iraq's minority Sunnis against the Shiite-led government over what they contend is second-class treatment and the unfair use of tough anti-terrorism measures against their sect. 3 jurors in George Zimmerman's second-degree murder trial initially favored convicting him of that offense or manslaughter, but the 6-woman jury ultimately voted to acquit him in the killing of an unarmed black teenager after more closely examining the law, a juror in the case said on Monday. The woman, known as Juror B37, told CNN's Anderson Cooper that when the jury began deliberations Friday, they took an initial vote. 3 jurors, including B37, were in favor of acquittal, 2 supported manslaughter, and 1 backed second-degree murder. She said the jury started going through all the evidence, listening to tapes multiple times. When they started looking at the law, the person who initially wanted second-degree murder changed her vote to manslaughter, the juror said. Then they asked for clarification from the judge and went over it again and again. B37 said some jurors wanted to find Zimmerman guilty of something, but there was just no place to go based on the law. B37 said jurors cried when they gave their final vote to the bailiff. And I quote, "I want people to know that we put everything into everything to get this verdict," said the juror whose face was blacked out during the televised interview but who appeared to become choked up. The interview came 2 days after the jury acquitted Zimmerman of second-degree murder in the shooting death of Martin in a gated community in Sanford, Florida, where the teenager was visiting family. Martin was black and Zimmerman, whose mother is Peruvian, identifies himself as Hispanic. While prosecutors accused Zimmerman of profiling Martin, Zimmerman maintained he acted in self-defense. The long wait for the birth of Prince William and his wife Catherine's royal baby is big business for Britain's bookmakers. Punters around the world are betting on a girl called Alexandra to be born, well, any day now. And with footballer David Beckham joking that the child should be named after him, the temptation for people to wager on every detail grows with every day the infant bides its time. Bookies say bets on the name, sex, and date of the first child of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are drawing a record number of bets for a non-sports market worth over £1 million so far. It is the biggest novelty market we have ever seen, Gary Burton from the British betting firm said. Coral alone had taken more than £500,000 in bets on the royal baby, he added. Bookmaker William Hill said it had taken £100,000 from punters in 100 countries. Bets include a huge £1,000 bet from a punter in Austria on a male baby in the last week. That is at odds with most people who believe it will be a girl, following a slip of the tongue by Kate earlier this year when she appeared to start the word daughter when talking about the baby before cutting herself short. One punter placed £5,000 on a baby girl with Coral at the weekend. Meanwhile, the refusal of Buckingham Palace to name the due date beyond saying that it would be in July, later reports suggested the middle of the month or specifically the 13th, has led to a flurry of speculation. You are watching Caribbean Affiliate News. We will be right back.